Hello there guys, what is going on? SonOfChelsea back here again for another edition of Let's Talk Chelsea. Hope you're all doing well and keeping safe on this Friday. Reacting to confirmation that Thomas Tuchel has extended his contract with Chelsea till 2024. What it all means, looking forward to next season and reflecting on Thomas Tuchel's brilliant work with Chelsea since arriving in January. Also in the second part of today's news video, I want to react to some reports coming out of Italy regarding the future of Hakim Ziyech and sort of assessing Ziyech's first season at Stamford Bridge. But before we get into any of that good stuff today, I want to ask you guys, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Also hit the like button if you're enjoying the content because it helps out the channel as well. So confirmed a couple of hours ago now, Chelsea Football Club announcing following our triumph in the Champions League, Thomas Tuchel's contract has been extended by 2 years as agreed when he joined the club. I was speaking to Adam Newson about this when we discussed the Champions League final. Basically, this was agreed in his original contract, his 18-month contract signed in January. So because he won the Champions League, that sort of triggers the extension for another 2 years. I'm not sure in terms of a pay rise, that has sort of been discussed with, I think Jacob Steinberg was talking about that, but fully deserved. This is what Tuchel had to say about the contract extension. I cannot imagine a better occasion for a contract renewal. I am grateful for the experience and very happy to stay a part of the Chelsea family. There is far more to come and we are looking forward to our next steps with ambition and much anticipation. Great news. I mean, what do contract extensions for head coaches at Chelsea really mean? I'm not going to fall into the trap of sitting here and speaking about some grand 3-year project. I think we all know by now, and I think we are naive if we were to assume anything different. We know how Chelsea operate. The Champions League triumph is, I think, vindication for the way we operate in terms of short-term sort of cycles, and historically that's the way coaches have lasted at Chelsea. I think you've just got to enjoy Tuchel while he's here. The job he's done in 4 months has been absolutely outstanding, magical really. I think that what he's done, I've constantly stressed this, not only on this channel but when I've gone onto podcasts and stuff, that I think analysing Tuchel's improvement with the team based on what was going wrong under Lampard, I think undersells the job that Tuchel has done. In particular, of course, with the Champions League. I mean, when he arrived in January, this club hadn't won a Champions League knockout tie for 7 years. And that stretches back to Jose Mourinho still being here. So the job he's done in particular in Europe, which is his biggest achievement, getting Chelsea the European Cup, I think stresses to you and I think really demonstrates how good he's been. I also think about breaking 7-year hoodoos, winning at Anfield in the Premier League, winning at Man City in the Premier League for the first time since 2017 or 2016, I think it was, with Antonio Conte. The way he's galvanised the squad, the way he's reintegrated players, the way he's improved players and got them into a system to reach a stage like the Champions League final and then win the European Cup. I mean, we had so many doubts about this squad, whether they had the mentality, whether they had the quality consistently to do it. And for Tuchel to do all of that in the space of 4 months, I think is truly incredible. He fully deserves a contract. He fully deserves to be backed. I'm so excited now to see where we go next season with him. I have a lot of confidence in his ability to, I think, improve the players he currently has. I think we've got the best version of Tuchel. I think he's learned a lot in his time at Mainz, obviously early in his career, to Borussia Dortmund and also to PSG. I wonder if we've got not only the best version of Tuchel, but a more relaxed version of Tuchel. I think the way he's handled himself, I urge you, go and watch the first press conference Thomas Tuchel did as Chelsea's head coach in that really hostile week, I think it was, where I think, of course, Lampard got sacked right at the beginning of it. We had the Wolves game 24 hours later. It was whiplash, really, and so much change and so much upheaval. The way he conducted himself in that first press conference was brilliant. It really was, and I think set the tone for what was to come next. And of course, it's very easy to say big things in a press conference. Tuchel, the way he's handled himself on and off the pitch has been a joy, and I'm really excited to see what he does with the squad next season. I think the big thing is getting us more consistent in the Premier League and actually challenging for the Premier League title. But you hope with Tuchel, the work Tuchel's done, the acumen, the belief that he'll have and his players will have in him, we can go to greater heights with Tuchel. So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, he's going to be here for 10 years. I think that's a silly thing to do. I've made that mistake before, as you can watch in videos last year. I'm just enjoying Tuchel whilst he's here, and hopefully he can achieve even greater things with Chelsea. But let me know your opinions on Tuchel, what he's done so far in the contract extension, in the comments below. And following on from Tuchel's contract extension, he could face his first big Chelsea transfer decision amid talk of a shock exit. This comes from Football London. In regards to Hakim Ziyech, the Moroccan only arrived at Stamford Stamford Bridge last summer in a big money switch from Ajax. He has struggled for consistency, much like his fellow arrivals, and could potentially be set for a quick exit, according to reports in Italy. As per Calcio Mercato, Napoli are interested in Ziyech following the appointment of Luciano Spalletti at the club. There have been reports, I think, for several months now about a potential shock and quick exit for Hakim Ziyech. I feel like Ziyech falls into the same category as Callum Hudson-Odoi. Sort of a first team player, because there are many sort of fringe players or loan players that you could see leaving the club that barely have any chance to get back into the squad. But Ziyech is one of those that I do wonder as well, because he didn't cost as much as, say, Timo Werner or Kai Havertz. But who's going to pay for him this summer? And Italy has been sort of the constant destination, feeling maybe he's unsettled here. I sort of digged into the stats of Ziyech this season, and I also asked you guys on my Twitter what you felt about his first season. I'm just going to read out some of your replies to it, because they were quite interesting, quite varied, based on your opinions on his first season. Samuel says, started really well, got injured, then was in and out of the team, never really built any rhythm. I'd like him to stay next season. Matt says, clearly a brilliant player, but system isn't getting the best out of him. Doesn't have the legs of a Mount, Werner or Havertz, so misses out a lot. Hopefully Tuchel can get the best out of him next season, but wouldn't surprise me if we cashed in should a decent offer come in. Akash says, was very good till the hamstring pull versus Leeds, struggled to adapt to a new position, but still remains our best passer in the final third. A proper pre-season under Tuchel and his preferred system needed. Dave says, I think he will thrive more of a back four than three centre-backs. He is far more effective when he has room to operate both wide and infield. And finally, Niall says here, good in moments, but for most of the season, he was far too lackadaisical and going through the motions in games. I understand. I think a lot of that makes sense. As I say, I digged into his sort of stats this season based on sort of my assumptions on him under Lampard and Tuchel. I think the most interesting thing to say is because I get a lot of comments on my videos when I was doing previews for games or reviews about Ziyech not playing. Whenever Ziyech wouldn't get picked, people were saying, "Oh, Tuchel doesn't rate him. Why isn't he playing every single game?" Interestingly, because I think the assumption that most people would have is that under Lampard, he was a massive player. He was a massive creative player when he got his fitness back at the start of the year in that sort of that autumn period when Chelsea started winning games under Lampard and it looked like the season could be a lot better. Ziyech was a big part of that. He had some really good performances. And then we felt under Tuchel, because Tuchel was rotated so much, you think that he hasn't actually had that many starts, not as much as Lampard. But under both Lampard and Tuchel, Ziyech has had the exact same number of starts in all competitions, with 11 with both coaches, which is really interesting. And I think, sort of proved me wrong in terms of what I believed, that I felt that he had more chances, consistent chances, starting games under Lampard. Both Lampard and Tuchel had, half a season to deal with basically in the Premier League. So I think that's fair to judge. For context, he has had two big injuries, a knee and hip injury, which means he missed 12 games this season, his first season at Chelsea at the start of the year, and also just after that Leeds game, so pretty much missed most of the Christmas period, if I remember rightly. And as well, lack of minutes before the Eredivisie, I think, was cancelled, last season because of COVID. So it's been a challenging first year for Ziyech. I think the appointment of a new manager really galvanised and helped a lot of players, but I don't think it helped Ziyech. I think personally because of the system. Ziyech is very much, he's an interesting player because he's not like one of those, I'd say, modern day wingers, the sort of player that, bursts down with speed, off the ball runs, someone like, say, Christian Pulisic. But I think under Lampard, Ziyech sort of became the creative hub, or was becoming the creative hub at Chelsea. We'd go out wide, we'd look towards Hakim Ziyech on his left foot to create something, to drift inwards. Under Tuchel, with a system change and a more rigid system in some ways, a more defensive system as well with three centre-backs, I don't think he's flourished. Now, I would say, and I would stress this when we sort of write off Ziyech or write off any player, I think it's a dangerous thing to do. But also, he has had some really good performances for Tuchel, really big games where Tuchel has trusted him. Think about the Man City semi-final in the FA Cup. Think about the Liverpool game away from home back in March. Think about the Man City game in the Premier League where he scored the equaliser. There have been many games, I think, under Tuchel where Ziyech has been trusted, in particular when he's played with Mount and Werner. I think those three have formed a really good chemistry. I do think a lot of the points that have been made about Ziyech is fair. Pre-season, absolutely, I think that's going to help a lot of players, a majority of the squad this year, and I think it's going to help Tuchel massively. Will we change formation? I did find it really interesting when Tuchel played, I think it was Fulham, wasn't it? And we sort of changed our formation a little bit, and rather than have the 3-4-2-1, he changed it up a little bit. We had Billy Gilmour as a lone DM and sort of had two number 8s in Mount and Ziyech, and that really, I think, gave Ziyech more of the freedom he had under Lampard. So I'd like to see what Ziyech can do next season. I think Tuchel obviously wants a big squad. I think it's fair to give Ziyech another year. I don't know if you can fully judge someone who did have two big injuries. He has spoke pretty publicly about his struggles during lockdown, adapting to a new league, a new country, and I do think there is a lot of talent there. I really do. Some of the performances he had earlier in the season were really, really good, and and you see glimpses of the player we saw at Ajax, and we did get some really good performances earlier in the year that I definitely suggest go and watch them back. It's not like we haven't seen anything good from Ziyech, and it isn't like Tuchel hasn't given him any minutes, because that simply is not the case when I look at the facts right there. So even though he has played under 2,000 minutes this season, I think a lot of that has to do with fitness, adapting to a new league. So if we're going to give Kai and Werner and other players a chance to have a second season and judge them properly, I think we have to do the same for Hakim Ziyech. Let me know your opinions on Ziyech in the comments below. But that is it for this edition of Let's Talk Chelsea. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch it. If you did enjoy it, hit that subscribe button and a notification bell so you never miss an upload. Follow me on Twitter at SonOfChelsea, and I'll see you again